Hello everyone, I am Cullen Canazares, CEO and co-founder of Rental Kharma. What I want to talk to you today about is why I started Rental Kharma. When I started this company, I was a renter, just like every single one of you are. I actually still am a renter, as a matter of fact. I started this company out of my own personal need. I had actually been a homeowner for 10 years, and when the economy tanked back in the day in the mid-2000s, my wife and I decided to go and live back where she grew up because we had wanted to go and see if we wanted to live there, maybe because we've been in the same place now for about 10 years. So we went back there and ended up living there for about a year, and we rented two different places. And about halfway through, we started saying, well, maybe if we want to stay, we should at least go check and see if we could qualify for a home loan and so forth and go through that process. So when we had moved, I had actually only had one account on my credit report because I ended up buying a car with cash. And I went and pulled my credit report and I'm like, wow, my score is a lot lower than it was a couple of years ago. And I know the economy tanked, but it wasn't just that. It was, I only had a single credit card reporting on my credit. And I'm like, I'm spending a couple $1,000s a month in rent now for this place that I'm renting, and that data is not showing up anywhere on my credit report. I go, I just send a check every month. That landlord cashes it right on time. She's good at cashing it. I'm like, is there any way she can call a credit bureau and say, hey, call and pay it on time? Because it was my biggest monthly expense, so why not? So I started looking into it, and I'm like, well, as always, just Google your problem, see if somebody's got a solution for you. And I went and Googled my problem. And the only thing I could find was a video that was actually in the CNN Situation Room, of all things, that says, hey, Experian's going to start collecting rental payment data now and putting it on your credit report. And the reporters twice in 30 seconds said, wow, this is great for millions of Americans. And I'm like, I'm one of those millions of Americans that actually be great for, so let me go Google that. So I started looking up on the Experian website, how can I do this? And guess what? I couldn't. Experian didn't create a way for Cullen to go report his independent landlord's rental payment history to actually get a better score. There was only going to be collecting data from a couple of big companies that are in the apartment complex business, et cetera, and that was going to be the limit of it. And I'm like, well, that's kind of wrong because that's not really where most people lived at rent. And it turns out that only 3% of renters rent from those large property management companies. So if you're in the other 97% like me, and maybe you, that's not a solution. And I'm like, okay, what can I do next? So we decided actually we're going to move back to Colorado where we're from now. So we came back, and I'm an entrepreneur by nature, have been for about 15 years now. And I ended up going to an event in Denver called Startup Weekend Denver. And I pitched this idea of Rental Kharma and building credit with rent. And everybody there is like, wow, what a great idea. You should do this. And I was like, okay, well, let's see if we can make this happen. Turns out TransUnion has an office right here in Denver. And I found a guy in that company, and I went and knocked on his door by LinkedIn and said, hey, can I take you to lunch? I got something interesting to talk about. But thankfully, the young man said yes. And from there, we got our path going down the road to getting a deal with TransUnion and convincing them that this would be a good thing for the consumers to do. They knew that they wanted to start collecting this information. We came to them with a plan that said, this is how we think we could do it. We worked directly with them and found a way to make this happen so that they were comfortable with the fact that we're providing good quality data to the credit bureau and that we have very strong systems to make sure that there's not any cracks and so forth in it, and that people actually wanted to do this. Well, it turns out they have wanted to do this. Since going to market in February of 2012 with our product after 3 long years of building software and working through processes with TransUnion, we were able to help our very first customers. Since that time, we've helped over 20,000 families report their rent on the credit report, and many of them are achieving the goals to help them in their lives. We want to help you and tens and 20 and hundreds of thousands more do the same thing. And what has made that 20,000 happen is all those 20,000 people that we've helped are telling their friends, they're telling their family. Loan officers are telling their clients, realtors are telling their clients. And it's that crazy, amazing word of mouth that is helping propel us to be great and to make a huge difference. that is why we get up every day to do what we do. Thanks, and have a great day.